Hello and welcome to another video. My name is TGH Travels and today I'll be talking about St. Petersburg in Russia on my World Railway Voyage podcast. This is going to be the first of a sort of mini-series within the World Railway Voyage podcast of the country Russia. Because we did a lot in Russia, I thought I needed to split up the country into at least 2 videos, if not 3. So without further ado, let's get started. I want everyone to bear in mind that this was done in August 2019, so this was before anything that could have prevented us from doing this trip. But without further ado, let's get into it. So this is the series so far. In case you haven't watched the other videos, I recommend you do, so that you can catch up and see where else we've been. We've been to places like Germany, we've been to Krakow in Poland, and we've been to Kyiv in Ukraine. So on the 8th day of our big trip across the world using railways, we arrived in Moscow, which is the capital of Russia. And I'll be talking about Moscow in the next video, but for now we'll be talking about St. Petersburg. So as for Russia as a whole, it's officially called the Russian Federation, and it is the largest country in the world landmass-wise, with 11 time zones and borders 14 countries. So Russia is massive. It's also the most populous country in Europe and the 9th in the world, with over 140 million inhabitants. Dating back to its history, the Tsardom of Russia was formed in 1547 before becoming the Russian Empire in 1721. In 1917, during the First World War, the Russian Revolution happened, and the abolishment of the monarchy meant that it became the Russian Socialist Federative Socialist Republic. I do apologise, that's a lot of characters for me to read. And it then became the Soviet Union, or Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, in 1922. And then in 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved into the Russian Federation. So here are the 11 time zones across Russia, and in comparison to my country, the United Kingdom, we are very tiny, very, very small, as you can see in the comparison between the two countries. So I'll be talking about the Moscow Metro in the next episode, but we did arrive in the Moscow Metro when we arrived in Moscow from our sleeper from Ukraine, and we had a brief look around, but we had a train to catch to get to St. Petersburg. So this is the high-speed train to St. Petersburg. This is pretty much the flagship to Russia regarding rail travel, and it travels from these various destinations. But the high-speed rail travels from Moscow to St. Petersburg and back again. And that was the method that we used to get to St. Petersburg. Regarding St. Petersburg, this is the 9th major stop on our trip. It dates back to the 27th of May 1703 when it was founded, and it is named after Tsar Peter the Great. It is the second largest city in Russia with a population of 5.6 million. It was the capital of Russia until 1917, when it then moved to Moscow. At its peak, tourist-wise, 15 million tourists visited the city in 2018, and I went to visit the city in 2019. However, those numbers have dropped in recent years. So here are some photographs of St. Petersburg. We did a lot, and we did a lot in Russia. For the largest country in the world, we unsurprisingly did quite a lot things to do, and we went to see many things. But I've got plenty of photographs of the whole trip of Russia, as well as in St. Petersburg. Now I want to talk about the Russian language and Cyrillic alphabet. So before this trip, I actually wanted to learn some basic Russian. I felt that learning another language would be a useful skill, and it is. I'm not very good at languages as a whole, I would admit, but regarding my second language, I would say Russian is probably the closest. I can hold a short conversation in Russian for a little bit, and I can read the Cyrillic alphabet. So for example, here we have subway. We can obviously see it says subway, but then it has these letters here. And with the Cyrillic alphabet, it's almost like cracking a code when you want to translate something. So for example, you have CA, and then you have a sort of a symbol here, and an A and a T, and then what looks like a B and an I. And that can translate to, that will translate even to a C, meaning it's an S, an A is an A. This symbol is an L, T is a T, so some letters are the same, and other letters are similar but used for different letters or sounds. And this symbol is meant to sound like an E. So if you spell it out, it sounds like salat. So you know that you can buy a salad at this location, at Subway. Here is another example. A C is spelled as a K instead of a C, because C is spelled for an S. And when you see this, which looks like cafe, and then you have a sort of a circle in between the line, that's an F. So that's a good one to look out for whenever you want a place to stop for a drink or a snack. So this is cafe, and a P is an R, and if you spell it out, it says Rasputin. So this is Cafe Rasputin. So that is some examples of the Russian language and the Cyrillic alphabet. Here are a few landmarks that we saw. We saw the River Nova. We saw the Church of the Saviour of Unspilled Blood, which was going under renovation when we went. We went to Palace Square, and we saw the Bronze Horseman, and we saw many other things as well. This is Peterhof Palace, which was our sort of major tourist stop in Saint Petersburg. It was commissioned by Peter I, or Peter the Great, in the early 1700s, and there's a portrait of him on the right. Stunning place, absolutely gorgeous. Incredible statues, everything, so many things were made of gold. It was incredible. It has over 3,900 hectares, and it was actually occupied by the Swedish Empire, but then it was ceded by the Swedes to the Russians in 1721, which resulted in the construction of this palace. And this was during a time when Russia was in a period of so-called modernization and westernization. So this was considered almost like a golden age for Russia. Here are some more of the statues and more of the gardens. So many golden statues near fountains, and and some of them being fountains. Yeah, so quite a lot of gold statues. Here are some of the gardens, quite big gardens, plenty to see and walk around. We were very fortunate with the weather, so luckily it wasn't raining. It wasn't too hot, but it was nice to just have a walk around. Here are some of the fountains, which were very impressive. There were some like in the shape of pine trees, Christmas trees. You've got this sort of chessboard fountain coming down. Just incredible, really is. And we also saw some red squirrels. Now, this is the first time we ever saw red squirrels, and probably, I think, to my knowledge, the only time I've seen a red squirrel out in the wild. And it was in Russia. We tried to find some in Scotland the previous year, but we failed. And but this time in Russia we managed to spot them, and that was really good to see. And good to see that we got to see this species of squirrel. On day 9, we went to the Palace Square, where we saw Catherine Palace. It's 19 miles south of Saint Petersburg, and it's painted in this sort of olive drab paint, and has been since 1773, which was when it was painted. It has a ballroom and also the famous amber room, a room full of amber. I couldn't take any photographs in this room, it was prohibited, so you might just gonna have to use your imaginations on what it looked like, but it was really impressive, incredible. So these were the photographs I could take. Lots of the rooms were covered in gold, incredible paintings. Like you didn't almost need any light because the natural light would reflect on the gold and it would brighten up the room. At the top you can see the two-headed eagle with the crown and the scepter and the orb. This was a symbol of the crest of the Russian Empire. During its height of power. We have the palace gardens as well. Again, really impressive. Lots of flowers, and a very colourful place to go. And this was something that we really wanted to do for a very long time, and that was the St. Petersburg metro. I couldn't get a lot of information for what it is today, unfortunately, but I managed to get some information from when we went back in 2019. So I apologize if some of this is outdated, but most of this information will date back to 2019 from when I went. It was opened on the 15th of November 1955. Currently it has 81.4 miles of track in length. It has 6 lines with 9 more planned to be built, and 75 stations are open at the moment, with 126 more planned to be opened. So in St. Petersburg they want to expand this network, open more stations, open more lines, and invest a lot of money into this. So good on them for expanding their network. Because I always do like a metro and a subway. And it has a daily ridership of 1.87 million and over 686 million riders travelled on the St. Petersburg metro in 2024 alone. So it's had a lot of journeys, and it's one of the deepest metros in the world. We went to the Saint Petersburg Railway Museum, which was very impressive. Probably one of my favourite tourist attractions that I saw in Saint Petersburg. It was established in 1978 and is next door to the Palace railway station. The exposition that we saw is still open and was open since the 1st of November 2017. It's maintained by Russian Railways and is quite massive. It's 7,500 square meters. It has 40 exhibits and 18 locomotives. So a very impressive museum. And I really enjoyed going there, and it was fascinating to see the locomotives. So this was quite a short and sweet presentation regarding St. Petersburg, but I wanted to keep this video quite short. On the next video we will at least be talking about Moscow, and possibly after that we will do a separate video of the Trans-Siberian Railway, which is what I'm looking forward to telling you all about. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment on what you thought. And if anything I've missed, then please feel free to comment down below what you think I should have included. But thank you very much for watching. It's TGH Travels signing off.